All right, joining me now once again here on the Matthew Filipowicz Show is my good friend Sarah Jaffe. Sarah is an independent journalist whose work has been seen in Truth Out in These Times, Salon, The Nation, Jacobin. She is the co-host of Dissent Magazine's Belabored podcast, all of which and more you can find at adifferentclass.com. You can also follow her on Twitter at Sarah L. Jaffe. Sarah, thank you so much for being on the show again.
Thank you for having me back.
All right, so Sarah, you recently had a piece up at Salon about an insane scandal that I hadn't heard before. It's an exclusive that you wrote for Salon about Bank of America. Tell us all about it.
So I wrote several months ago a piece about bank workers at Bank of America organizing. And the piece that I wrote at the time was about they were organizing in protest of these new virtual tellers at ATM machines that they thought were pushing them out of a job. Well, this latest round of Bank of America worker organizing is against the customer service practices themselves. So they're saying that these are people who take your call when you call in with a question about your credit card. Particularly, these are people who had been sort of trained on one set of customer service, and then Bank of America decided to have a new system for its more affluent customers. And so these people who had been trained on a few specific things were suddenly expected to be able to handle everything for the fancier customers. And they say they were not trained well, and that when they're not trained well, as Tony, the worker that I spoke to, put it, their mistakes tend to favor the bank. And so they had put up a petition calling for other bank workers and for customers to support their call for better training so that they don't sort of mistakenly screw over customers.
And how did Bank of America respond to that?
Well, the bank has not responded at all to their petition, and so far as I know, pretends that it doesn't exist. But according to Tony, their bosses know that they're organizing, and they have responded sort of inwardly, saying that it was about responding to a survey that the bank gives out of its employees every year, and they've been a little less likely to fire people for making mistakes. They've gotten a little bit more training, but they say there's still a lot more to go.
But also, this seems like something, okay, obviously, like, it's something that you'd want your employees to do, right? If like, your employee says, look, I'm not doing as good of a job as I can. I'm not trained on this. I want to do a better job serving our customers. Can you please train me to make me serve our customers better? You think that's something that the employer would want to do, but apparently that's not what Bank of America so far has wanted to do.
Yeah, but employers don't actually pretty much ever want to spend time and money training people. I mean, this is a whole subject we could go on about for a really long time, right? That like they want people to come to them directly trained out of college or out of high school or whatever. They want to spend as little time and money developing employees as possible and just have a quick turnover model. So if somebody screws up, they're out the door, they hire the next person, and they pay them, low wages, give them no training, and they just keep turning it over. And as long as we have relatively high unemployment in this country, you can keep doing that. And so this is certainly not a particularly uncommon practice. At Bank of America, it's worth noting that Bank of America is the bank that has gotten the most complaints to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. I think I noted in the piece that there have been lawsuits around disclosures that Bank of America customer service workers have made before, specifically around, fraudulent mortgages and stuff. We've heard of those, right? We've talked about those here before.
We have.
And so, what they're saying, what these customer service workers are saying is that they, when they are not trained well, their mistakes actually end up helping the bank. So, like, one of the examples that he gave me was that they were not trained to read a disclosure to people who wanted to do a balance transfer or pay their credit card bill on the phone. And it turns out that there's a fee for doing those things over the phone. And if you don't read the disclosure, the customer doesn't know that they're getting charged a 4% fee. And then it's done and they can't do anything about it. Whereas if they read the disclosure, the customer might say, oh, I don't want a 4% fee. Never mind, I'll go online and do this myself, or you're not going to charge me for the privilege of paying my bill. So things like that end up favoring the bank. And then, the bank tries to blame it on lousy customer service workers when, the customer service workers are saying, we didn't get trained. And they're also saying that because they're the ones who spend time actually talking to the customers, dealing with the customers, they hear their customers calling up and saying, like, I lost my job, I can't pay my credit card this month. They actually really feel connected to their customers in a way that their bosses who don't talk to their customers don't.